Getting to pick number one. You talked about how cluster injuries at the receiver position can really torch a team. Well, that's what I'm going to look at right here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are catching 2.5 at home. I'm going the other way. Atlanta Falcons minus 2.5. And really, I liked the Falcons when I did guess the line in my early projections on Monday. I had Atlanta before that Monday night game was played, before Mike Evans, before Godwin.
Wow.
I had Atlanta as a slight favorite in that game. Um, going into this week. And the reason I got there was because these two teams played earlier in the year. Atlanta was a minus 2.5 point home favorite. And so that meant on a neutral that Atlanta was a 1.5 better than Tampa Bay. Okay. We take out 1 point for home field. Now we flip it to Tampa Bay. They get a point for home field. I had Atlanta then, that math, as a minus a half favorite. So now we get these injuries. I have these injuries at about a point and a half. I'm probably on the lesser end of that. And then on top of that, you have this short week for Tampa Bay and you have Atlanta coming off a blowout loss. I think getting under 3 here is a bit of a gift. I like them on the money line and I would like Atlanta minus 2.5. The best way that you beat Atlanta is by, utilizing your receivers, chucking the rock down the field. Tampa Bay now can't do that. So really hurts that situation. And in that game, when these two teams played like 3-4 weeks ago, Atlanta outgained Tampa Bay 550 to 33. And then through the air, 477 to 173. So I know the game went into overtime, but to me, Atlanta is a really good spot here.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. My only drawback is it's like, is this going to be the most public bet of the entire slate? Not
Well,
that
the most public bets
yeah,
are like
not that
14-0 this season.
Not that should scare us off anything. It just feels too good to be true, too easy to be true. But I like it.
Well, I think because this group was all on Seattle and like we've picked our spots with Atlanta, I think maybe we're higher on Atlanta. Like this was just the classic spot for Seattle. And now we're kind of bouncing back off them. A lot of people watch them lose by 30 points to Seattle. They look terrible. Cousins can't move. So I think, yes, it will be the public side just based off of Evans and Godwin being down. But I do think you'll probably get a couple of people who are like, they lost in overtime. They're at home this time. And the Falcons maybe aren't that good. So I think that is why you're assuming it's going to be more public than maybe it actually comes in at.
Fair. Yeah, I guess because we all just knew Seattle was going to thrash them. I didn't even think twice about that result, but to someone, it's like, holy fuck, they just got stomped by Seattle. So that's a good point.
Smashed at home as a 3-point favorite. And we've seen road favorites are just insane right now. Since week 5, they're 16-2 against the spread. Blindly betting road favorites, you could be in a great spot. I think that's what I need to be doing, honestly.
The Jets are one of those road favorites that didn't cover, just for the record.
Yeah, Jack, you and I talk a lot off the show about how much NFL betting has changed, whether it's, betting being more legal, whatever it is, that old school spots aren't there anymore. And some of those being home dog, home divisional dog. And I think one of the reasons that spot is, I guess, fading away a little bit is because the lines just, they adjust over time. That's why trends over time can change because eventually there's going to be an adjustment. And I think we've seen almost an over adjustment where it's okay, Atlanta or Tampa Bay is a home dog here. Maybe 5 years ago when you and I were licking our chops on this, it was Tampa Bay.
3.5.
3.5. Tampa Bay plus 4. Tampa Bay plus 3.5. I felt, I didn't bet that Denver New Orleans game on Thursday night with, New Orleans having a million injuries. I'm not laying points on the road with Denver here. And, turns out they go blow the doors off. Right. So I think some of those old adages, it's look, just go what your numbers say. And, I'm so sick of seeing these graphics every week of public money, this and that. It's maybe at this point, it just doesn't matter as much as we thought, and it's adjusting to those sort of things.
I also think public money and tickets, right? A lot of that data comes out by book now, and a lot of that data doesn't necessarily mean sharp money, right? When Tim says the sharps are pounding something, if they're betting it heavy on Wednesday, pre-injury report, that's sharp money. But because a big bet comes in Sunday morning on a side, just because it's a large amount of money, that doesn't necessarily mean it's sharp.
These tweets they put out on Sunday morning where it's like everyone's on this side. It's like, what number did they get this at?
Correct.
What price was this at? No, they're just putting all the action lumped onto one side, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, I think there's like for instance, Philly and Cincinnati. Philly got to +3 for like 5 minutes on Monday night, and it's like, well, I think Cincinnati -2 is a good bet, and I think Philly +3 is a good bet. Right. So when you look at those ticket splits and all that, who was on what?
And Sunday morning, it'll be 84% are on Cincy -2.5. And that's fine. But so is, 80% of or 90% of Philly +3 would have been the splits if that number stayed at 3. So
right.
it's a good way of assessing it.